Today in this lesson, we're going to continue talking about using articles in English. Now, this is the second video, so if you haven't watched the first video about using articles in English, please make sure to watch that one before this one. So last time we talked about indefinite articles, a and an. Today, we're going to talk about the definite articles, the. The is a common article, and we see it a lot. But when do we use the? We use the when the noun is unique. So this means that there's only one of this noun. For example, the sun, right? There's only one sun. Another example is the Earth. The Earth is the densest planet in the solar system. Here we use the because there's only one Earth. Another reason we use the is when the noun is specific. This means that it is part of a larger category, right? Let's look at some examples. One of the worst earthquakes this century happened in Haiti on January 12, 2010. So here we're talking about the earthquake that happened in Haiti. It's a specific earthquake, but it's part of a larger category of all of the earthquakes in the world. Another example is Chicago is the third most populated city in the United States. Again, we're talking about a specific city, but it's in the larger category of many, many cities in the US. So when we're not sure if something is specific, you can remember a few expressions to help, like one of the, some of the, or most of the. All of these expressions will tell you that this is introducing a specific noun, part of a larger category, and therefore you should use the as the article. A third reason we use the is when the noun is mentioned for the second time or the third time or the fourth time, meaning we don't use the when we mention the noun the first time, but we use it after. For example, yesterday, a man knocked on my door. The man said he was my new neighbor and just wanted to introduce himself. So the first time I mention the man, I use a. But the second time I mention the man, I use the. Okay? If I mention him a third or a fourth time, I can also continue to use the. And that's because now we all know which man we're talking about. It's the man who knocked on my door. A final reason we use the is when the knowledge is shared, meaning that the writer and the reader, or the speaker and the listener, we all know which one we're talking about. Let's give an example. This section of the school was renovated in 2012. So imagine I'm giving you a tour of the school and we are walking around the school and I'm pointing to, a doorway and I'm saying this section of the school. In this case, we all know which school we're talking about. We're talking about the school that we are in, right? So both the speaker and the listener know which school is being talked about. So I have some practice for you here. On the right side, we have the directions. Why was the used in the sentences on the left? Here are your choices. Is it something unique? Is it only one of something? Is it specific? Is it part of a larger category? Is it the second or third or fourth time something is mentioned? Or is it shared knowledge, meaning it's very clear to both the speaker and the listener, or the writer and the reader, which noun we're talking about. So you can pause the video while you think about this. Each sentence should match one rule, okay? So pause your video and I'm gonna give you the answers in just a second. Okay, here are the answers. Please hand this book to the teacher. This is shared knowledge because the speaker and the listener both know which teacher we're talking about because probably they are in the classroom right now, right? Number 2, yesterday I saw a dog in my yard. The dog was chasing my cat around my yard, so I yelled at the dog. This one is second or more mention, right? The first time I mention the dog, I use a, but the second and third time I mention the dog, I use the. Number 3, the heart receives signals from the brain. This one is unique, right? There's only one heart in your body and only one brain in your body. Number 4, one of my students is from Gambia, which is one of the smallest countries in Africa. This is specific, right? Gambia is a specific country in a larger category of all of the countries in Africa. All right, students, I hope that helped you feel a little bit more comfortable with using the. Next, let's talk about when we use no article at all, right? So sometimes we use a, sometimes we use an, sometimes we use the, and sometimes we don't use an article at all. Do not use an article with plural count nouns with a general meaning, right? So a count noun is a noun that you can count, such as chairs or books or fingers. And when this is pluralized, right, and has a general meaning, we do not use an article. For example, when fathers spend time with their daughters, they positively impact their child's future, right? We cannot say when a father's, right? So we can pluralize it and don't put any article before a plural noun. A second reason we don't use an article is with non-count nouns. So a non-count noun is something that you cannot count, like air or water or rice. It doesn't take much. All children really need is love, attention, and encouragement. So love, attention, and encouragement are all non-count nouns, and therefore we don't put an article before them. Okay, let's practice putting everything together that we've learned so far. So our choices for the blanks are a, and, the, or nothing. You can pause your video while you think about this and write down your answers. I'm going to give you the answers in just a moment. Okay, here are the answers. Okay. You can pause the video while you look at the answers and check your answers. If there are any that you don't understand, please feel free to email me or come to my office hours. Here's another exercise for you. This one's a conversation, right? So it's important, maybe when we're thinking about, is this the first time something is mentioned, or is this the second or third time something is mentioned? Again, please pause your video while you think about your answers, and I'll give you my answers in just a moment. Here are my answers. Again, please check your answers and email me or drop by my office hours if you have any questions or if you don't understand one. Okay, so we've gone over a lot of information in this lesson, in these two videos. Let's review everything that we've learned from both videos. The first thing we learned is about indefinite articles. We said they are used with a singular count noun, right? They are used for one thing in general, like a dog or a book or a baby. And they're used for the first time we talk about something. The first time we mention something, we use a. The next thing we talked about is definite articles. So that's what we started this video with when we talked about the. We use the to talk about things that are unique, things that are specific and part of a larger category, things that we mention for the second or third or fourth time, and also when there is shared knowledge, meaning that we all know which one we're talking about. Maybe we're walking through my kitchen and I say, the kitchen is really beautiful, isn't it? So we all know which kitchen we're talking about because we're standing in a kitchen right now. The last thing we talked about is when we use no article at all. And this is with plural count nouns with a general meaning, and also with non-count nouns. We use no article at all. All right, students, I hope that helped understand a little bit more about articles, a and the, and no articles. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at that address. And you can also drop by my office hours. I'd love to talk to you about articles and practice a little bit more too.